what I have here is what I showed yesterday. All right, we talked about the previous data, the forecast, and now we have the actual data here. So let's take a look, right? So if we clean this off, we can clearly see previous CPI month over month core. Look at this, 0.3, we forecast, or the market forecasted 0.3, it came in at 0.2. Forecast for month over month CPI non-core was forecast at 0.1. It came in at 0, folks. No change in these goods. This basket of goods that, again, are factored into inflation, no change from last month. The markets loved it. Next, we look at year-over-year numbers. Expectations were 4.1%, came in at 4%. CPI year over year expected 3.3, came in at 3.2. Literally every single number came in 1/10 better than expected. 1/10 better, 1/10 better, 1/10 better, 1/10 better. What are the markets doing? They are going like that right now. All right, so again, it's almost, no offense to the calculators here, but it's almost as if this was a little contrived here. I'm not saying it is, but again, interesting to see these numbers all beating by a fraction, but enough to give the markets a massive push. All right, so what we're gonna do next, folks, let's take a look here. We're gonna get right into the charts and analyze it accordingly. So what we're gonna flip over is to the Nasdaq 100. Look at the move on the Nasdaq 100 here pre-market. So huge move up. Initially, yesterday, we basically closed on the markets around 377. We're trading up about $6 on the QQQ. That's a massive move, folks. You're talking close to 2% on the NASDAQ. And again, all the stocks are participating. The big cap, mega cap tech that have already run insane amounts. You have NVDA up, Microsoft up, Apple up, Amazon up, all of them across the board. Even Tesla is up this morning. All right, now what do you guys think? So CPI came in lower than expected. So here's a quiz. What do you think we're seeing on the 10-year yield in the dollar? Which direction is the 10-year yield going? Let's take a look. I hope you guys could guess on this one. We are seeing the 10-year yield collapsing to the downside, right? So essentially think about it like this. Inflation is coming down better than expected, which means the Fed has the ability to lower rates sooner. At least that's the way the market's taking it. The Fed can lower rates sooner or quicker, therefore yields are coming down. The market, remember, the way the correlation works. When yields are coming down like this, what does the market usually do? It usually goes up, and we know from just looking at the Nasdaq 100 that that's exactly what is happening. All right. And what about the dollar? All right, with markets rallying, is there an inverse correlation with the dollar usually? So when the dollar goes down, markets go up, and the answer is yes. So we would assume the dollar on an intraday basis is going down, and look at that, folks. That is a big time drop. So again, as the dollar comes down, it also helps the equity markets go up, and that again is what we're seeing pre-market. Now, gold is up. Bitcoin getting a bounce, but again, we know that Bitcoin's trading more on kind of the spot ETF stuff, but gold is getting a big bounce. Silver's up big because when the dollar goes down, other commodities tend to go up. Remember, they're traded in terms of dollars, so weaker dollar, higher price in gold. Let's go to the Nasdaq 100. Nasdaq 100, again, pushing up, same kind of deal here. We can see that the Nasdaq had already broken through its down-sloping trend line, right? So again, we'd already broken down up through this level. So the question is, well, where's your next spot on the Nasdaq 100? And by the way, notice how the Nasdaq has broken through, but the S&P was right into its line. Why is that? Let's take a second to think about this. So why would the Nasdaq be much higher? And the answer is very simple. Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, Apple, you name it. That is, again, 50% of the entire Nasdaq 100 is about 7 companies, all right? So 7 companies. And that means that because those have been leading the market, we've seen the Nasdaq push through the level of resistance prior to the S&P 500. Okay, so let's talk about levels here. Where are we looking here? So the first thing we have to see is we have a pivot top right here. So this would be your first level to watch. The only thing is we're already above that pre-market. All right, we're already above that level pre-market, which then brings us to the next level where if we continue up, you have to be looking at a double top at right up here at this level of 387.65 or so. So this would be your key level to watch. Again, right up here. And the key about this is, so 387.65, we'll call it right there is the double top. And bear with me, I want to just erase these lines. And if we go back to the intraday, we can see that we're trading at 383.74. So we're only about $3 away from that double top. Double tops are big. That should be a place where the market could run into resistance. What I'm curious about is, do we get there today? Do we get into that level today? NVIDIA here, guys. NVIDIA trading at 497.84. Just looking at the daily chart, what's interesting about the daily chart is, remember I told you yesterday that NVIDIA could go up a little bit more because it hadn't tagged this downsloping trend line? Well, yesterday it did. Now, there was an upsloping trend line that it looks like we're going to actually pierce today, which was right up here. So now this is going to be the key about today's price action. I want to follow NVIDIA, and I want to find out, where does it close today? Does it close above this white line at like 494, 493? Or does it trade a little bit differently than that and get above that level? So again, NVIDIA, incredible move up. $390 low. It's now near $500 right up here. That's in a straight line. Folks, this is a $1 trillion company. To gain that much is absolutely, in such a short period of time, this is 2.5 weeks, it basically is gaining approximately $250 billion. Now, what's even shocking about this, and I went over this, I think, on Monday, and I was like, listen, if you just add up the top four, you know, Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and like Amazon, it added $1.1 trillion of stimulus to the market. That's how much it gained across the board, all those stocks. If you look at the gains now, with these additional moves, we're probably at $1.5+ trillion. Talk about potential inflation causing stuff here. Now, granted, this won't be reflected for months, probably at least a month or two to come, but it is something that, again, if I was Jerome Powell, I'd be saying, wow, I'm not sure if that's a healthy market right there. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out.